Howdy. Back again with more Bloodborne content. This time it is the Blood Moon box, which, if I am correct, is the Kickstarter exclusive content. This is the stuff that is given exclusively to backers. If you were a backer, you would have received this alongside the board game itself. I'm not sure whether retailers will be selling this. Chances are, if they buy in bulk, they probably will receive a few, so you might be able to get your hands on. But this is just stuff that you will receive in your Kickstarter exclusive box. You might notice I sound a little bit less excited than I did originally, and that's not because the hype has gone. The hype is still there. I have literally just been playing Bloodborne The Board Game. It is just because it has been a long day and it is late. So let us crack this open. I didn't mention it the first time, especially with the other box, but the finish on the box is really nice as well. It genuinely feels really sturdy. Okay, so we are already looking at spoilers because I can see some fellas there. I think I've learnt my lesson. I have learnt my lesson. That is the entire box. That is all the content. How interesting. Yeah, I figured out how to take it out of the other box. There was a knack. I didn't have the knack yet. Okay. So here it is. This Kickstarter exclusive stuff orients entirely around more characters and more enemies. That is it. It's just to give you a little bit more option. I believe there is scope for another campaign, but that is more to do with the Chalice Dungeon itself, I believe, because after looking at that, I haven't cracked that open yet, but it is player v player and I believe a bit of free play as well. After playing the game so much, I've played it non-stop every single day. I am a little bit more aware of what everything does inside the game, so I can talk through a little bit better now. So I'm just going to use this hunter as examples. This is the Tonitrus hunter, and this is the effect that this weapon has in this state. After transforming, next attack in this round gains +1 speed and +1 damage. These little arrows mean speed. So that's 2 speed, a single speed. The slower the speed, generally speaking, the heavier it hits. Beautiful artwork. Always love that. And that is the reverse side, so you've got reference, because then when you flip it, you have the alternative. And you'll notice only a slight difference with the Tonitrus, and that is because it activates an effect and it becomes electrical. After transforming, next attack this round gains +1 and +1 damage. The Tonitrus in the game doesn't transform, you almost like swing it down and electric comes out of it. So every transformation will be you swinging it down, which is the reason they are identical. On the flip side though, you've got the Blade of Mercy and the Blade of Mercy in its different form. So 2 blades, a single blade. Who else have we got? Ludwig's Uncanny Holy Blade. So Uncanny is just a variant of. I've been using the Holy Blade as my character. Not a fan. I don't work well with it, but it is incredibly powerful. The Lugarius's Wheel, which is effectively a big wheel. The Kirk Hammer, which starts out as a wee little sword and becomes this big meaty masher. And the Burial Blade, which is a fan favourite across those who play the video game, as it starts out as this sword and becomes this massive scythe with humongous range. Incredibly slow, but tremendously hard hitting. And before attacking, you may move enemies within 2 spaces into your space, which is pretty impressive. We've then got the actual hunter arms, not physical arms, but I don't know how to explain that in a different way. They literally are just the hunter arms. They are the secondary weapons, the ranged weapons. Don't know why it took so long to figure out the word range there. And those are associated to those hunters because anything else will be acquired. And I figured out the phases as well. Phase 1 is you taking down the beast, and then phase 2 is their lunatic mode. You have beaten me once, I've come back stronger. We also have the Nightmare Apostle, which is the big boy in there. His moveset for phase 1 and phase 2. I've learnt a lot. And in fact, watching back my unboxing, I wasn't far off the mark, but I was far enough to think, apologies to those who watched and are now sneering at my ignorance. Stick that there for the time being. We'll have a look at those in a moment as well. But I want to crack open these minis because I think these are stunning. So we have got the different hunters. We have got the Ligarius Wheel Hunter, the Kirk Hammer Hunter, in his little coon hat. We've got the Uncanny Ludwig's Holy Blade Hunter, Blades of Mercy, Tonitrus, Tonitrus, Tonutrus, however you pronounce it, and the Burial Blade, which just looks incredibly intimidating. There's also, which I don't understand why, but 4 models of the doll from the dream. Now I don't know if that is as a reference to you to show that you're in the dream or not. Who knows? We've also got some physical lanterns, which I think is quite a nice, sweet little aesthetic. Place that where a lantern goes, you can visually see it. It'll make for quite a thematic experience. And then we stop having these lovely little... Oh, no, sorry. And then we've got some little treasure chests that you can pop down, and they can be full of goodies like blood and vials of blood, as we've experienced in our play. And then we have these enemies. Now, I'm not as familiar with the names of these enemies as I am with the ones from the core, simply because my memory does not serve me as well as it should. So, I'm going to go through these as I go through these. We have the Merciless Watchers, which are generally speaking found inside of the Chalice Dungeons, which of course is thematically quite nice because that's where you'll fight these fellas. I'll sort them out in a second. The Loran Silver Beasts, is that? No, that's these. Which are found in the Nightmare Frontier, so whether they go hand in hand with that expansion, or whether it is a case of those are just going to be found in the Chalice Dungeons, which they can be, is another matter. I proper geek out on this, don't I? The Giant Lost Child, which sounds really sweet and you feel really bad for him, but don't be, because he is an absolute unit and he will ruin your day. Then we have the Small Nightmare Apostles, which I cannot get out. Nope, they're not going to give. I'll get those out another time. And then we have the Large Nightmare Apostle, which, yes, is just a huge spider, but imagine that stood on the map like that. Horrifying. Horrifying beyond belief. I'm just going to have one more go at getting this boy out. There we go. I always have that fear, you know, when you're pulling on it, that you're going to rip his leg off, like I almost felt like I did. Just a little Nightmare Apostle. And now I'm going to struggle to get him back in. Well, I'll do that later. But I figured out what the 2 phases are for this as well. It's not phases of enemy, it's variant. So it gives it even more replayability. So let's say you have the Large Huntsman out, and you have him on this on the first time you play it. Next time you play, you might play it on that side instead. And now for this one, it might only be ever so slightly different. But you'll notice Special Death Rage. If Large Huntsman is slain, unless it was staggered, Hunter suffers 2 damage and a stun. Or Impaling Slam. 4 damage, stagger, stun, staggers Hunter attack of the same speed. Depends on which medicine you fancy. Do you fancy going down hard or being tortured for a bit and then taken out? That is all there is in the Kickstarter exclusives. A shed load of minis, some new cards, and some new characters. The characters will be easy to integrate into any single campaign, but I feel like this stuff, the bad guys, will only be applicable really to the Chalice Dungeons or to homebrew custom mix-ups of campaigns. So let's say you don't fancy using the standard Scourge Beast, and instead you say, actually, you know what, in Yarnum today there's going to be some Lost Giant Children. Whatever floats your boat, however you decide that you want your medicine. Short, sweet unboxing for this little nuggets of joy. Hopefully that's been informative. Thank you ever so much for sticking around. I shall catch you next time.